everyone, this is Detroit AllyCat. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy today because it is True Crime Tuesday, and this is where I'm gonna do my little theme song. Are you ready? No, that's not gonna happen. I won't do that. But I am gonna say thank you for coming to my channel. If this is your first time here, I like to do true crime. I like to do unboxings. I do witchy stuff, paranormal stuff, hauntings. You should think about subscribing, sticking around, and leaving a comment, giving me a thumbs up, and, just telling me what you think, because I like to hear that. Without further ado, let's bust into True Crime Tuesday, and let's get spooky. I'm actually really excited about today because I feel like I've been covering a ton of dark, topics. I mean, really, really dark. And today, we're not going down child murderer or any of those things. We're gonna talk about Giulia Tofana. And I love saying her name. Say it with me. Giulia Tofana. Giulia Tofana was born in 1620, Palermo. And she died in 1659, Rome. And this is in Italy. I love Italy. I one day want to go to Italy. I hope that eventually all of this madness that's been going on stops because I've had enough. Yeah, that's just like my sidebar note. Sorry guys. Let's focus, okay? Giulia Tofana was one of the most well-known historical serial killers. I don't know if I would call her a serial killer. I would go ahead and let you decide what you want to call her. I'm going to tell you what she did, and then you can tell me what you think about her. And I know I'm smiling. A lot of people have a problem with when I'm if somebody's smiling when they're talking about true crime, but Giulia Tofana is dead. All of her victims are dead. And I feel like this is a lot less heavy than, what I've done before. So I'm sorry if I'm smiling, but it's kind of like a weight off my chest a little bit. Just saying, another sidebar. I'll continue. Okay, so Giulia Tofana, she was the creator of a poison that was called Aqua Tofana. And it was invented by her, but it's said that actually her mother, whose name was Tofina Diamo, actually was the creator of the poison and handed it down to Giulia. Now, something to note is Tofina was executed in July 12th, 1633, and she was accused of murdering her husband. And I think there might be a chance that maybe she might have used her poison. I'm not sure. It doesn't talk about how she killed her husband. It just said that she was accused of murdering her husband. I think it's something that you should pay attention to, that it doesn't say that she was convicted of murdering husband. She was just accused. And that's kind of like the way that Italy ran back in the day. Like, women were kind of... they weren't really citizens. They were just kind of like, they had some choices in life and they weren't very big. So you could get married, you could become a prostitute, you could be a scullery maid, or you could be homeless. Not a lot of choices. And something else to note back in the day is that women didn't have rights. Like, they could not go get normal jobs. They could not vote. They could not do normal things that men could do. They basically just had to do what they were told. And that's normal. And the other thing is that women of that time, there was a lot of domestic abuse. Say, for instance, you were a man and you were upset with your wife. She's giving you a little lip. Your steak wasn't tender enough, or the kids weren't clean, or I don't know. Something. You could just smack your wife around back in the day and no one would do anything or think anything because that's just normal, and that's sad. And some of these women did not enjoy being smacked around. Shocker. And they would feel like they were trapped, and they would try to figure out what could I do to get out of this situation. And something else that was a big problem back in the day is that if you got pregnant, that there is a chance that you could die in childbirth, because you couldn't really go to the hospital down the street and get a C-section if you were a high-risk pregnancy. Like, there's a whole list of things that could go wrong back in the day, and medical science was not the same thing, and you could die. If you were pregnant, it could be a death sentence. So a lot of women were terrified of getting pregnant. And how do you prevent that if you're married? They don't really have birth control. Well, they do, but they don't. And a lot of men want their wives to have children so they can have help at the house or carry on the name, a bunch of reasons. And this did not sit well with some women, and they did not want to be beat or die in childbirth and have all these situations, so they're trying to look for a way out. Well, being a widow, even though it was looked down upon, was a better life to them. They weren't married, so they didn't have to worry about having kids. They were in mourning. They didn't have to worry about dating. They had a place to live because their man was dead and their inheritance took care of them. And it was just a good situation. Giulia Tofana created something called Aqua Tofana. And Aqua Tofana was said to be handed down from Giuliana's mother, Bina Diamo. I hope I said that right. Okay, and what Aqua Tofana is it's basically a mix of arsenic, belladonna, and lead. Now, something to talk about was back in the day, women's beauty was judged on how dilated their eyes were, which is strange because, you have dilated eyes, people are going to assume that you're tripping on acid or something today, But back in the day, you had dilated eyes, you were very beautiful, and your eyes were alluring. Belladonna was actually considered a cosmetic product. And that worked well for Giuliana because she made these little vials and it had a picture of St. Nicholas on the vial. And she told everybody that this was a cosmetic product used to dilate the eyes. Giulia Tofana actually had her own makeup brand. What an entrepreneur she was. And that became a thing. And she was very, very successful at this because she was living in Palermo. Did I say it right? No. She was living in Palermo. That's not it either. Palermo. We'll just stick with Palermo. She was living in Palermo, and she eventually moved to Rome, Italy. And she had a daughter, and her daughter's name was Girolama. Her name was Girolama. I'm gonna mess this up and you're going to ignore it, okay? Girolama Spera. Have you ever noticed how some YouTubers will mispronounce something and they won't call themselves out for it? They'll just say it and they'll act like it was okay. And you guys are all you said that wrong. I just want you to know I'm here for you. I will be the first to admit when I say something wrong. Girolama, I'm pretty sure this woman, this beautiful Italian woman's name was not Girolama. Maybe it was. I don't know. Things were different in 1633. But there's a chance I'm saying it wrong. She's got her daughter working for her. She's got a bunch of her friends working for her. It's working out. These women are able to poison their men and they're living the good life, not getting beat, not having babies. And I'm not laughing because murder is funny. I'm laughing because of the situation. Just being straight with you, okay? Don't murder your husband. I'm not down with that. I'm not okay with that. It's not 1633. We have other options nowadays. Completely different time. Okay, back to my focusing, okay? Giulia Tofana, she had her whole situation down. If you went to Giulia Tofana for medicine, poison, cosmetics, You had to like have a reference, you had to know somebody, you had to know one of her past clients, and like Giulia Tofana took this very seriously because she's not getting caught. She doesn't want to get caught. She doesn't want them to execute her like they did with her mother. It's a very like intense like interview to get to Giulia Tofana. And then once you get to Giulia Tofana, there's a way that she explains that you poison your husband. First off, you do it in 4 different poisonings. The first poison, you're gonna make your husband feel like he's got a cold, he might have some stomach issues. It's not that big of a deal. And something to note is that this medicine, poison, is made of arsenic, belladonna, and lead. Arsenic, belladonna, and lead mixed together properly will have no taste, no odor. You can't detect it. You don't know that it's there. So you can easily sneak it in somebody's wine, which was very popular to drink with your meal in Italy at that time and still to this day, or you could sneak it in their food. Only a couple drops, you got the process started. The first couple times, the first time, the patient would start to feel a little bit like he's got the flu. The doctor would come, give him some medicine, say it's no big deal, everything is fine. Then you do it again, and the person starts getting sick. While the doctor comes and he's like, this person is sick, he's got a serious disease. And this gives the patient time to write a will. That way that the woman could be taken care of. He could also give them time to repent and talk to God, which was very important to some of these women, which I think is kind of crazy. Like, it's giving him time to talk to God, and that way he'll go to heaven. I guess that's the way they like made it like good in their head, like, oh, I'm sending him to God where he will be with the Lord. That was important to them. Good Catholic Italian women. And then the third time, they're getting very, very serious so they can get their affairs in order. And on the 4th time, they die. And at this time, Giuliana instructed them, like, when they come, you are to demand that they do an autopsy, or whatever they called it back in the day, like a doctor report of what happened to your husband. You have to act like you're very upset. You have to like demand answers or an investigation be done. And this way you would cause no suspicion that something happened. Everyone would just assume that you were a grieving widow and no one would think twice. And, Giuliana had this like whole thing down. She was doing really good. She moved to Rome, Italy, and she was doing well. She was making good money. There wasn't much said about Giulia Tofana's husband, so I'm going to assume that she didn't have one, especially because she was in the business of killing them. But maybe. I mean, she had a daughter, so she must have had some relationship. There's not a lot out there about Giulia Tofana. A lot of it, you kind of have to take your imagination. I think they tried to erase her from their history because it was like such a dark history. But I still think she's very interesting. So carry on. So Giulia Tofana had a customer one day. And this customer came in, they got the poison. They were going to poison their husband. And so she goes to poison her husband and she puts the medicine in his food, and he begins to eat, and she's watching, and then a moment of guilt hits her, and she's like, no, don't eat it. And he's like looking at his food like, why? And so like he starts to beat her, which is part of the reason that the poison was created in the first place. But he starts to beat her. He beats her till she tells him like, hey, I put poison in this. And he beats her some more. Where did you get this from, you evil woman? And he ends up finding out about Giulia Tofana. Giulia Tofana hears about what happened. She's got a lot of people that really care about her. And they know that if she goes down, they're going down. Because they're going to put 2 and 2 together. Your husband died. We don't know why he died. You must have been like Giulia Tofana's customer. And at that time in the world, we did not put people in prison for murdering their husbands. We executed them. We were done away with these wicked women. And so they were very protective of Giulia Tofana. So they like warned her, hey, like they're coming for you. Giulia Tofana, she packs everything up and then she runs. She goes to the church for sanctuary, and the church gives her sanctuary, and that is where she stays. But I have a feeling like that did not sit well with constables. Like, they wanted Giulia Tofana. Like, they seriously wanted her. And not only did Giulia Tofana go to the church by herself, but her daughter, Girolama Spira. Did I say it right again? No, I didn't, but we're going to move on. Girolama Spira, she went with her mom and a bunch of her, like, helper friends that helped make this, like, stuff. They all went with her, and they're all hanging out at the church. And somehow, the constables hear that Giuliana has poisoned the water. And this sends mass panic throughout, like, Rome. Okay, she didn't poison the water. She totally did not poison the water. I think they just wanted to get in there. So they went to the church, and they were like, no, you're not giving this woman sanctuary. They kicked down the doors. They grabbed her. They grabbed her daughter. They grabbed all the assistants, and, you know, they basically, like, took them down there, and they beat them, and beat them, and beat them, and beat them, because that's what you do. And, you know, under this torture and duress, Giuliana admitted everything. And she basically said that she murdered or gave poison to 600 different men. Now, something to note here is she was being tortured and beat, and are you getting the right answer from this? You can't say that you are, because, you know, people under torture are going to say anything to make it stop. And I'm pretty sure Giuliana knew that this was not going to end well for her. Like, she lived in Italy in that time, so she knew that women were executed for doing such things. She's probably like, yeah, whatever you say, like, I did it. I killed all these people. And, you know, so they took her and they executed her with her daughter and her helpers. And they decided to make a, like, example of her. And they wanted these women to know, like, do not try to do this. And they hung her up on a wall right by the church. Can you imagine that? Like, going by a church and seeing some, like, dead woman hanging up right there? That's what they did back in the day. And you guys say that things are messed up right now. Just imagine that, okay? Just think about that head and mange kind of situation. That's what happened. They put Giuliana on this, like, wall, and everybody sees her, and then, you know, they banish Giulia Tofana from the history books or whatever. I don't know. They thought they could just do away with everything that was Giulia Tofana. But Giulia Tofana is remembered to this day. And I thought that it was a really good case to talk about, because, like, what was she? Was she a serial killer? Was she a evil woman? Or was she a woman who was just trying to help other women that she felt sympathy for because of the situation they were in and they didn't know what to do? I'm kind of like, I'm torn because I believe there were good men out there, and I don't think that you have the right to take someone's life into your hands. But at the same time, if someone's trying to, like, hurt you or your family, or, like, some really, like, evil stuff is happening, like, I'm gonna protect my family. But how can you prove that they were trying to do something to you or your family if, like, you never tell anybody? But why would you tell anybody if they're not going to help you or fix this? Or it's, you know, so it's a very complicated situation. And I would really like to know what you think about Giulia Tofana, because I think it's one of them, like, crimes that, like, you have to sit back and say, is this, like, a good person or is this a bad person? I'm going to lean towards the fact that there were probably some innocent people that were killed, and this was a bad way to go about fixing what was happening. Like, I don't know what the answer was. I didn't live in 1633, but I feel like there might have been some people out there that, like, were like, you know, I just don't want a husband anymore, and he talks too much, or, like, you know, at night he wants too much. And I think I'm just gonna give them some soup and do away with this. I feel like that probably happened, and especially because they put a big emphasis on the fact that they got to repent before they died. So like they were guilty about killing their husbands, and no, it's just one of them things. What did you think about my True Crime Tuesday? Did you like it? Was it a nice break from all the stuff that I've been doing? Do you think Giulia Tofana was a bad woman, or do you think she was like the hero of the day? Do you want to go to Italy? Because I sure want to go to Italy. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate when you guys come on here and watch. I appreciate it way more than you know. Tell me what you think about my presentation. But most of all, stay spooky and stay safe. Bye guys. Thanks.